Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. This week we'll hopefully be wrapping up our casting announcements for Life is Strange. I feel like every time I finally decide to cover, whatever announcement they've put out, who's playing who, I put together a video, I release it, and then all of a sudden another article drops. I think with the last one, it was literally the same day that I put out the new casting video, only to find out very shortly after I had released it, they had announced even more casting. So hopefully my luck doesn't continue with this one. We'll just go down the line, discuss some of the previous work they've done, the character they're playing, and I'll give my 2 cents about it. We're going to start off with Billy Barat, who will be playing Nathan Prescott. I'm so sorry to the one commenter who said that I should play Nathan. I didn't get it. I tried my best. All jokes aside, Billy is an actor who I was not familiar with going in, at least I didn't think I was, until I looked at some of his credits. He had done a lot of work as a child, and is only about 19 years old. And that got me thinking about the ages of the actors, because it's not something I had really thought about until seeing, whoa, this guy's like 19 years old, and he looks pretty young. Well, how are they casting the other characters? Are they also around the same ages? And they are. Tatum Grace Hopkins is 21, and Maisie Stella is 22, so they're all within that early 20s to late teens range, which I'm thankful about. I think it's very jarring in shows and movies when you see someone who's clearly in their 30s pretending to be a high schooler. He's known for films like Bring Her Back, and he's also the youngest person ever to win Best Actor at the Emmys at the age of 13 for the television film Responsible Child, which is just like, that's incredible. Because it's not like Best Child Actor, Best Supporting Actor, it's just Best Actor, period. So that's very, very impressive. As far as looks goes, I think that he has a certain look in his eyes that's really good for Nathan. I could really see him playing some of those scenes where he's kind of out of his mind very well and just giving these very sharp looks. Of course, costuming will, carry a lot in terms of these actors resembling their characters, so I'm not too concerned about the looks overall. I've said that in the previous videos as well. Next up is Emily Carey. They will be playing Victoria Chase. This isn't to discredit Emily. They also have done a lot of work since they were a child. For example, they've played younger versions of quite a few characters like Diana in Wonder Woman, as well as Lara Croft in Tomb Raider. But hey, I mean, if you're gonna be playing just the younger version of a character, I'd be happy it's characters like that who are super iconic. They also have a role in House of the Dragon, which is a show that admittedly I haven't really watched. I'm not a big Game of Thrones guy as much as I love fantasy stories like Lord of the Rings and things like that, but I've heard fantastic things about it. I think Victoria is a character that can be overlooked in terms of the depth that may be required to play her, simply because she is a stereotype. She's a catty high school girl who's kind of insecure, and I hope that Emily's able to bring a certain level of depth to the character, and I have no doubt that they will be able to. This next one was a bit of a shock for me when I initially saw the listing. When I saw that photo on the top of the article, this actor stuck out to me, and I realized why, and it's because I actually knew them. I'm talking about Esther McGregor, daughter of Ewan McGregor, or, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hello there.
She's experimented with modeling, music, as well as acting. She's kind of dabbled in each of it, and I guess it helps when you have two parents who are both in the entertainment industry. I actually knew her from a brief cameo she had in the Kenobi series. If I recall correctly, I think she tries to sell Kenobi like a death stick or like drugs or something, which I'm sure was a fun scene for her to do with her father. She'll be playing Rachel Amber, which I think the fact that we're getting a Rachel Amber casting announcement is really interesting. I say that because Rachel is a character that I imagine will have very few, if any, lines in Life is Strange. She's obviously not present during the first game. This could be showing that they want to set up possibly exploring Before the Storm and doing a season of that or something along those lines. I think the more realistic option is that we are going to see Before the Storm scenes, not the whole thing, but certain scenes from Before the Storm incorporated into the show version of Life is Strange. Because Before the Storm, it fleshes out so much about Rachel, it fleshes out so much about Nathan, as well as Chloe, and her relationship with her father and things like that. All things that are very, very important to Life is Strange 1. Not that you need to play Life is Strange Before the Storm to understand Life is Strange 1. In fact, I would say for most people, it's better to go 1 then Before the Storm. But I will say, I think if they can add it in a interesting and organic way, possibly through flashbacks, or they could also do something similar to the Last of Us TV show, which I know I've made my feelings about Season 2 abundantly clear, but I'm referring to Season 1, how they had a couple of episodes, and then they had that sort of spin-off episode with Bill and Frank, and they had that, it was basically a flashback, and it showed their life and their relationship and things like that. And while some people feel that the episode was a little slow or that it didn't contribute much, it did contribute to the themes of what Joel was learning by taking care of Ellie. I could see them doing something very similar where you have a couple of episodes, they find Rachel's body, and then the next episode, at least the majority of it, is a flashback showing the relationship between Chloe and Rachel. Maybe I'm going a little, too big here. I don't really know. Season 2 of The Last of Us did something similar where we got the growing up montage of Ellie for an episode about... I don't really remember that season. That was the best episode of that season. I know this is completely off topic, but I just want to say... And you know why it's the best episode of that season? It's because Neil Druckmann was actually involved with that episode. He was hardly involved with the rest of that season, and that's why it's a disaster. Because the showrunner... Side tangent over. To summarize, I think the inclusion of a casting of Rachel Amber tells me that we will be seeing sequences from Before the Storm worked into this season. Okay, I'm about to butcher this name for this next actor. I'm so sorry if you stumble upon my channel because you're trying to do background research on your character and you see me completely butchering your name. I'm so sorry in advance. Fali Rakoto Havana. I'm so sorry. He will be playing Warren Graham. He's an actor I wasn't too familiar with, and I can say that for a good chunk of this cast overall, including the next actor that we'll discuss. But I think that's a good thing. As I said in my previous casting video, I think it's great to include lesser known actors to help the characters feel more real. I feel like it could be a bit jarring if, we have this very moody kind of town and there's this mystery and it's meant to be teenagers in high school. And then I look over and Mr. Jefferson is played by Chris Pratt. Nothing against Chris Pratt as an actor, but I just mean in terms of, keeping the atmosphere, the vibe a little bit. Now, some of you also pointed out that the choice of actors is likely a budgeting thing, and while that's true, sometimes you'll have bigger actors come into productions, and it's a give and take. The production gets to sort of leech off of their social media following as essentially free marketing, and then the actor gets paid and they get more work. So I like the decision that even our leading characters aren't people who are very well known outside of their circles. Like, if you were a fan already of these actors, you know who they are. If you've seen Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn, is that called Ricky, Nicky, Dickie, and Dawn, which the actor who plays Warren was in for a time, then you probably already know him. I'm sorry, I just saw it on his IMDb, and I thought it was funny that a former Disney Channel actor will be in the Life is Strange show, which is great. I mean, I've done commercials, I've done acting. There's like a 1% chance that you guys may have seen me from somewhere else before I started doing this. So, I mean, hey, we all have different paths, and honestly, I think it's more of a fun fact, a fun, silly fact, than anything, embarrassing. I think he's also got a sweet look to him. I know that sounds strange to say, but I mean that he has a nice face. He looks like a nice guy. And that's kind of the look you want for Warren, someone who's a little softer, someone who is cute, not like ultra masculine, whatever. You want someone who's kind of cute looking, because that's how Warren's described, that's kind of how he looks. So I think he looks good for the character. Finally, we have Mia Isaac, who will be playing Kate Marsh. I actually recently did a deep dive video on Kate Marsh because of this casting, and so if you want to check that out, please do. Mia had a leading role in The Grey Matter, and has also been in things like The Perfect Couple and Don't Make Me Go. Now here's the thing. With these last two actors who were chosen, there has been a little bit of a reaction from certain people about the casting choice. There are some people out there who are angry and upset for the fact that these actors don't look exactly like their video game counterparts, and that they've cast actors who have darker skin for these characters who in the game are white. While actors looking like their source material counterparts is a nice thing that can happen, it shouldn't be the top priority of a casting director. Your top priority should be casting an actor who's going to be good in the role. The looks alone shouldn't be the end-all be-all. Now, that being said, I think the only time where something like that does truly matter is if their race or a certain physical attribute of theirs plays an important role in the story. If their story bullies around, I don't know, being picked on because they're the only minority within their school, you wouldn't cast someone who is white to play that role because it's integral to that story. I think a non-racial example of this would be a character like Abby from The Last of Us. Her physical stature plays an important role in her story. It's used as a visual tool to tell you who she is, how obsessed she is with getting revenge, and then later on in the game, you see how she's lost that mask because of the things that she's been through and what she sacrificed in order to get that revenge. It plays an important role in her story. So the decision to cast an actress who has a more feminine, slimmer build doesn't make sense in my eyes because of the importance of this character's look to the story. And that brings me back to Kate Marsh and Warren Graham. Their races don't play any part in their stories. I've seen some argue that Kate's religious background is specifically about the white Christian experience, which that's just simply not the case. Anyone can be a Catholic. Anyone can be a Baptist. There is nothing in her story that is explicitly related to Kate Marsh being white. Now, if maybe there was some line about her liking a boy who wasn't the same race as her and her family expressing some sort of disapproval, then it's part of her story. But that's just simply not the case. The important thing about her religion in the story is simply that her family is extremely religious and very strict and very judgmental. It has nothing to do with how she looks. And that goes for Warren as well. His story has nothing to do with his race, so there is no issue with having him be played by an actor of a different race. I just think this discourse is... it's just dumb. It's just dumb. Because our main characters, such as Max, Chloe, Rachel, Mr. Jefferson, all look very, very good and very accurate to their game counterparts. It's the main cast that looks like the game, so why are you complaining about some of the side characters? So it seems like they're just choosing to get mad over this, and I think it's ridiculous. At the end of the day, the race of these characters just doesn't matter because it's not integral to the story. Period. This kind of discourse has just annoyed me, especially seeing it within Life is Strange. To be fair, Life is Strange as a fandom has had issues with characters of different races as well as other things. I could get into it, especially about Life is Strange 2. I made a video talking about the franchise, and I comment on how the fan base wasn't really open to a different kind of lead character there. So all that to say, I want all of these actors to succeed. A lot of the times, when a production goes south, it's not the actor's fault. I'm sure there are examples where it is, but in a case like this, if this show doesn't turn out to be great, it's not going to be the actor's fault. It's going to be the writers, it's going to be the directors, it's going to be somebody else. Actors are brought in and they're given what the writers and directors have produced for them and plopped into their scenes, and they do the best they can with what they're given. So I really hope they succeed, and I really hope they're all able to shine in their roles, and I'm very excited to see these different takes on these characters. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, if you could subscribe or like the video, I'd really appreciate that. I've been trying to up my editing game in these last couple of videos, because, you know, I have a lot more time on my hands now that I've graduated. And so focusing on YouTube, adding production value is a really important thing to me. So what do you guys think of these casting decisions? Do you have any opinions? Do you know these actors from anything else? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you have a good morning or evening or, you know, whatever.